Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time post-commentary run right now. And when I first played this back during the Christmas I got the game, I remember being very just nervous and anxious of my first Legend of Zelda 3D battle, boss battle. This was pretty exciting for me at the time, when I was a young teen. At the time, I didn't know what to do. I was wandering all up in this darkness, hearing that little screechy scround and being all kind of creeped out and stuff. But actually, to figure out where the boss is, oops, I think I pressed the wrong button there. You have to look up. And when you look up and look at Goma, that's when the boss battle gets triggered. So, I mean, she could be crawling up over you as long as, you're not looking at her. But once you look at her, oh my goodness, Goma's coming after you. And of all the first bosses they could have chose for the first 3D Zelda battle, I think they chose a pretty good one. I mean, Goma's pretty well known throughout the Zelda franchise as being one of the classic bosses of the series. And to kind of see her remade in, full 3D is kind of terrifying in a way. So they definitely chose an interesting one. And I think up here, see? She drops eggs when she's up there, which spawn into little baby Gomas of their own. But if you kill the eggs before they hatch, then they only take one hit, not two. You gotta wait till her eye is red and she gets up close to you, and then you can smack her down, because otherwise she's invulnerable to the slingshot. Now, I just kind of let her... I kind of let her dump the eggs just to kind of show you what else she can do. But this is pretty much her whole attack pattern. But while she's laying, her eyes grow red. So you can stop her from laying the eggs by shooting her yet again. Overall, she is a supremely easy boss. But it gives you kind of an idea of how to fight bosses where you kind of have to stun them with, typically more often than not, the item from the dungeon, and then you should go forward to strike with the actual sword. The sword is always going to be what kills the boss. And here's our first heart container, which we're totally not taking. So we're going to start this 3-heart run right now. So for every boss that we destroy, they drop a heart container. Unlike Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, we are not going to be forced to take the heart containers in this game, and probably every game after this. So we can just clearly skip it and move on, and remain at 3 hearts. Well, just in case you died, I saved this part of the story for later, but in case you did survive, well, I guess now I get to tell it to you. Now that you've earned the courage to listen to the story. Yep, and this was actually, I think, the first game where we saw the human incarnation of Ganon, or in this case, Ganondorf. They extended his name for the human part of him, because before this point it was just Ganon. So they had to create some sort of backstory for this character other than he's an evil demon lord king who wanted to go for the Triforce. But no, they actually wanted to make him more of a deeper character, and I think as a result he became stronger as a villain because of this. And we actually get a little bit more of the mythos and lore of the whole series, actually, because before, up to this point, we just heard brief glimpses of the goddesses, Din, Nehru, and Farore. I mean, if you didn't read the instruction manuals of previous games, you wouldn't even know they existed in the mythos of Zelda. But here, the game actually tells you, hey, this is how the world came to be, how Hyrule was formed. So Din, of course, created the earth and the heavens. Pretty much anything matter she created. And Nehru created the law. Pretty much the seasons, the sun, the moon, the weather, making the planet livable, things like that. Nehru was responsible for giving the law of order of nature. And then, of course, Faror was the one who created all the animals and possibly plants, too. So, created all that. It kind of gives credence to the whole 3-in-1 persons type of deal of what God is in the Christian mythology, where each part of creation was handled by a different goddess, but they're all 3 in 1. They're just one and the same goddess, but they're 3 separate goddesses at the same time. And when they left this Triforce behind, which is the culmination of all their power to grant any wish possible. Which is kind of a scary thought if you think about it. I mean, to be able to grant a wish of destroying the universe, apparently the Triforce can do that. You know, granted you've managed to have the Triforce split and you gather all the pieces back together again to actually fulfill that wish, but still, scary thought. So pretty much the Deku Tree sent you on a fool's errand. He basically wanted you to have his last moments on Hyrule to be pain-free from the curse. He's like, just put me out of my misery before I'm able to die. I want my last moments to not be in pain, thanks. Princess of Destiny. And we get our first plot MacGuffin. The Kokiri Emerald. You know, other than their singular purpose of opening up the door of time to get into the Master Sword, the actual Master Sword chamber, there really is no other purpose for these things. I mean, the stones by themselves aren't important. You have to combine them with the Ocarina of Time that the Princess of Destiny has for them to actually be any sort of effective. So just having the stones is not enough. So it's a twofold locking mechanism for the Master Sword. Oh, Deku Tree, we barely knew ya. And what I've noticed, ever since the Deku Tree, I think, dies, whenever you're far away from a Kokiri, they actually are invisible except for their fairies, and as you get closer, they fade into existence. I don't know if that was something that happened before the Deku Tree, or now that the Deku Tree is gone, the power of the Kokiri is slowly fading, and so they kind of flit in and out of existence as you get near and far. I mean, it's probably a limitation of the actual Nintendo 64 engine that they were using, just to kind of have the objects pop in as you got near, but, you know, I'm not sure if there was any sort of significance or relevance to that. See, all of a sudden it just pops out of nowhere. It could also be a symbol of Link finally recognizing that he's no longer Kokiri, he's actually a Hylian. And so Kokiri are actually hidden from all Hylians. They don't know that they exist in the Lost Woods. And so they're slowly starting to disappear from Link's life. Maybe I'm just reading too deep into it, I don't know. Now, Soraya could have totally taught you her song at this present moment, but just decided not to, and so we have to come back at a later time to eventually go get that song from her. Because right now we got no real songs to play on this thing, unless you want to freestyle it. I like this little pause here, where he takes a couple steps back and then runs away. Like he's almost pent up with sorrow that he doesn't want to see he doesn't want her to see him cry, so he's just like, I'm just gonna run away. Cries all the way through the log tunnel. But I mean, I guess that would affect me more if they actually spent a little bit of time building up that friendship between the two, like they did in Skyward Sword with Link and Zelda. I mean, they were together for a very short time over the course of the entire game, but that short amount of time Link and Zelda were together in the Sky Town was enough to establish a relationship enough that you cared about what happened to those two. Here, Soraya, not so much. And you stupid owl, Gebora. It's not so much a hassle the first time you play through the game, but every subsequent time is just boring text that you already know. He basically tells you how to play the game. And get this is a troll move on the designers. After you're done, especially if you're like pressing the button to skip, like skip through all the text and everything, the designers knew you'd want to skip through all this text because it's just boring drivel. So they did a nasty little trick here. Did you get all that? The cursor is default onto no. So if you're like, skip, did you get all that? No. Oh, let me repeat this all for you again. No! And you skip to the end, like, do you want to repeat all that? And you're like, press it one more time. No. No! You have to go, oh gosh. And they do it every single time you meet them. Gosh, such a troll, those designers. Anyway, the big, wide, vast Hyrule Field. Technically, you're supposed to go straight to the castle, which is what I'm doing, but you're never going to make it there. Unless, you know, some of those speedrunners, they, like, turn around and backflip all the way to the castle, and somehow backflipping's faster, and they can make it just in time before the gate closes. But for the most part, if you just go walking, even if you're rolling there, you'll just barely not make it. And you'll have to be left outside alone in the dark to wait out the night. And I think that was purposeful to give players a sense of what the dangers are at night. So if you stray off the path that leads you to Hyrule Castle, you'll start seeing the denizens of the night that, oh, look, ah, ha, ha, I was so close. So if you stay on the path, nothing happens. You can just stand here and wait if you really want to. The night isn't really all that long. But if you really want to see some action, go off the path. So more often than not, first-time players will be spending at least one of their nights out here in the wilderness of the Hyrule Field. And they're really not that hard, but I think if you kill enough of them, I think it's like 7 or 8 of them, a really big one pops up. It's no harder than any of the others, but it's just bigger than any other stall child you've ever encountered, but it still takes 2 hits to bring down. Yep, there's the big one right there. It's about double the size, but it goes down just as easy. It's actually a good way to grind for rubies as you're waiting for the drawbridge to open again. But I remember first playing this game, I actually didn't go straight to Hyrule Castle. I saw the wide open field and I'm like, whoa, I gotta explore all this. And so I just went around all the 4 corners, just going all over the place. I've met a few P-hats too. I don't know if I'll be touching upon those massive enemies, but I was just like, wow, what's that plant there? And it was like, came up with these little propeller blades of death, and I'm like, no way, I'm going that way. So yeah, enough of that. Now this is an interesting viewpoint. This is a forced perspective from the fountain in the center of the plaza. Yeah, really weird that. So they sell arrows, Deku sticks. The big item here is the Hylian shield for 80 rubies. Oh my goodness. Bombs, which you don't have a bag for, and of course the usuals from the Kokiri Forest shop. Then you have your standard potion shop, which sells a couple interesting items, which you don't know readily what they're for until later. You've a Poe, if you want a ghost, a fish in a bottle bug, blue fire, good lord, fairy spirit, and then of course your typical red and green potions. Now I actually like the blue fire in a way because it's almost like a throwback reference to the original Legend of Zelda where they had the blue and the red flames which could burn things and stuff, so I thought that was kind of neat. Then of course you have this weird shop here, the Happy Mask Shop. There isn't anything here to do until afterwards. I think after the events at the Hyrule Castle that we're going to go to next. But pretty much you get loaned a mask, and then you go find someone somewhere in the world. The game doesn't even tell you, but you go find an NPC somewhere in the world to give the mask to sell it to. And then you bring the money back, and then they give you another mask to take, and so on and so forth. And then eventually you'll get the Lens of Truth mask, the Sheikah mask. Oh, who is this pretty little girl? This is Malin, the little ranch girl from Lon Lon Ranch. And with that, the start of 1,000 ships were born right here with Malin. Oh my goodness. She is a fan favorite of many a shipper, I can tell you that, especially in fanfics. Shooting gallery. This is actually one of the easier shooting galleries to do. So it just plays out like you normally would imagine a shooting gallery to play out. Targets go flinging all over the place, pop up and then go down and stuff, so you gotta be quick. Oh gosh, the Bomb Chew Bowling Alley. This, I hate this one. This is one of the worst ones that, if you're going for the heart piece here, which thank goodness I'm not in this playthrough, it is such an annoying one to get. I hate doing it. Yes, and then you have a treasure chest game, which I think you could get a heart piece from as well. And I'm just going to show the back alleys here. Just most of these doors are kind of locked during the day, but during the night they open up, and there's like little NPC side quests you can do for heart pieces and other items and stuff. So kind of cool that. Little nightlife in Hyrule Castle Town. I think there's even a Bomb Chew shop. So with that, we're going to head out to Hyrule Castle and see if we can meet this Princess of Destiny. Oh no. The bird's gonna stop us again. Yep. Thanks, I couldn't figure that out. That's convenient. I guess they couldn't handle the schedules of people at this type of complexity of engine right now, where people react in real time to the actual time of day. I guess they just couldn't do that on this engine. And I like how the game actually, as you watch the Gabor fly off in the distance, the camera pans and directs you directly to those vines that go up the wall there. So the game's just like, if you don't know where to go, look here. That's where you need to go. Very good game design, that. So we'll see if we can meet the Princess of Destiny in the next video. Until then, everybody, see you later.